there is a moment, just before everything ends, when time slows down. On the night of August 31st, 1997, inside a black Mercedes in a Paris tunnel, the most photographed woman in the world sat in the back seat, not as a princess, not as an icon, but as a woman who had spent her entire life trying to be loved.
Princess Diana.
And by the time the car hit the pillar, that search had already taken everything from her. Long before the cameras, before the dresses, before the crown, there was a child, Diana Spencer, born into privilege, but not into peace. Her parents' marriage was breaking apart almost from the beginning. Arguments behind closed doors, silence at the dinner table. And then one day, her mother was gone. No explanation a child could understand, just absence. And something inside Diana changed. Because when love leaves you that early, you don't stop needing it. You just start chasing it. Diana wasn't like the others in her world. She wasn't cold. She wasn't calculated. She felt things. Deeply. Too deeply for the life she was about to enter. She worked as a nursery assistant. She laughed easily. She trusted people. And that would become her greatest vulnerability. Because the world she was stepping into did not reward softness. It consumed it. At 19 years old, Diana didn't fall in love with a prince. She was selected, carefully, deliberately, by a machine older than any of them. The British monarchy needed stability. They needed an image. They needed someone the public could adore. And she was perfect, young, innocent, beautiful, uncomplicated. Or so they thought. Prince Charles. He was older, more experienced, already shaped by duty, and already emotionally elsewhere. But none of that mattered, because this was never about compatibility. It was about continuity. When the engagement was announced, Diana smiled. The world celebrated. But in one interview, a single question slipped through the cracks. "Are you in love?" Charles answered, "Whatever love means." And in that moment, the truth was already there, hidden in plain sight. 750 million people. That's how many watched her walk down the aisle. A girl becoming a princess. A storybook come to life. The dress, the cathedral, the music. Everything was perfect, except the marriage. Because even on that day, Diana knew there were 3 people in that relationship, and one of them would never leave. Camilla Parker Bowles. Marriage didn't break overnight. It eroded. Slowly. Silently. Phone calls that ended too quickly. Silences that lasted too long. Glances that avoided. Diana tried. She tried to be what they wanted. Perfect. Composed. Royal. But behind closed doors, she was unraveling. Because the one thing she needed most was the one thing she could never get. To be chosen. Fame didn't help. It made everything worse. Because now, the entire world was watching her pain. Judging it. Consuming it. She developed bulimia. Not out of vanity, but out of control. Because when everything in your life is controlled by others, your body becomes the only thing you can fight back against. And yet, something unexpected happened. The public fell in love with her. Not the princess. The person. She touched people others wouldn't. She hugged AIDS patients. At a time when people were afraid to even stand near them. She sat on hospital beds. She held hands. She made people feel seen. And, in doing so, she became something the monarchy couldn't control. A symbol. By the late 1980s, the illusion was gone. There was no more pretending. No more carefully constructed image of a royal marriage. Because the truth had begun to leak. Through whispers, through staff, through silence that spoke too loudly. Prince Charles was still in love, just not with his wife. Camilla Parker Bowles was no longer a secret. She was a presence, a shadow that followed Diana into every room, even when she wasn't there. Diana knew, not because someone told her, but because you don't need proof. When you can feel absence, there's a moment in every life when pretending becomes impossible. For Diana, that moment came quietly. Not in public, not in front of cameras, But inside herself, she stopped trying to win him back, stopped trying to be enough, because she realized something devastating. She had never been the choice. She had been the requirement. In 1992, everything changed.
A book.
Secret recordings, leaked conversations. The private life of the royal family became public property. The marriage collapsed under the weight of exposure. And suddenly, this wasn't just a failing relationship. It was a global spectacle. The BBC, a chair, a camera, and a woman who had nothing left to lose. When Diana sat down for that interview, she didn't just speak. She revealed, there were 3 of us in this marriage. And just like that, the entire world understood. This wasn't a fairy tale. It was survival. After the divorce, something strange happened. Diana was finally free. No more rules. No more palace control. No more pretending. But freedom came with a cost. Because now, there was nothing protecting her. The press intensified. The attention multiplied. Every move became a headline. Every relationship, a story. In her final years, Diana was searching, not for fame, not for validation, but for something simple.
Peace.
She traveled. She worked with charities. She tried to build a life outside the system that had defined her. But the world wouldn't let her go. Because she wasn't just a person anymore. She was a story people couldn't stop watching. August 31st, 1997.
Paris.
It was supposed to be just another night. A dinner.
A drive.
An escape from the cameras. But the cameras followed. They always did. The car sped through the tunnel. Flashes behind them.
Pressure building.
And then, impact. In the hours that followed, the world held its breath. And then the news came. Death of Princess Diana. She was gone. At just 36 years old. What followed wasn't just mourning. It was something deeper. Because millions of people realized something at the same time. They hadn't just lost a princess. They had lost someone who made them feel human. Crowds filled the streets. Flowers covered the city. Silence replaced noise. And, in that silence, there was a kind of guilt. Because the same world that loved her had also consumed her. Diana spent her life searching for love. Not power. Not status. Not fame.
Love.
And, in the end, she found it. But not in the way she needed. Because the world loved her. But it didn't protect her. And maybe that's the tragedy. Not how she died, but how she lived. She was seen. She was adored. She was remembered. But she was never safe.